Hello everybody, welcome to Now You're Cooking live on Facebook. Tonight we're making a tarte tatin, but we are making a savory onion tarte tatin. Usually, traditionally, it's apples or pears. You can use peaches, any kind of fresh fruit. But tonight we're making a side dish for Thanksgiving or Christmas or any kind of dinner you want. It's a really nice presentation. We are using the Emile Henry Tarte Tatin set, which has a nice tight fit for the cover, so when you flip it, you shouldn't have any liquid flying out and burning you or anybody standing near you, which is key for this. But you don't have to have this. If you have a good solid, like a cast iron skillet, that's excellent to do it. Just make sure you have a platter or plate that fits pretty tightly on it, and I'll show you when we actually do it, but flip away and hold it tight, and those are the keys. Before we get started, coming up next week, we're making kofta from the book Jerusalem by Yotam Ottolenghi and Sami Tamimi, and this is going to be a lamb and beef meatball, sort of with pine nuts, and they're really, really good, and you serve it with a tahini dressing or tahini dipping sauce, and they're fantastic. The week after that, on the 18th, we're going to be making the stout beef stew that we made a couple weeks ago on Autumn Fest. If you were here, we're going to do that. That's from Sam Sifton's book. See you on Sunday. And we're really excited. But the most important thing you need to know is early bird starts tomorrow. Tomorrow is November 4th, in case you're watching this. November 5th, in case you're watching this at a later date. November 5th, 6th, and 7th, it's 20% off store-wide with some exceptions, electrics and alcohol, a couple of other little things, but almost everything in the store will be 20% off, so don't miss it. And that includes gift certificates, so it's a really good deal. So come see us over the next 3 days, regular hours, 10 to 5, Friday and Saturday, 10 to 4 on Sunday. So let's get started. This is a really beautiful dish, by the way, depending on how you put your onions into the platter or into the dish. What we're going to start with is some butter. This is 3 tablespoons of butter, and we want that to melt nicely. So we're going to just go with like a medium-low here. This stove is pretty hot, so hopefully that's low enough. We'll keep an eye on it. I have here 2 tablespoons of sugar. The recipe says 3. I don't like it quite that sweet myself, but you can do whatever you like. We're also going to add a little bit of salt and some balsamic vinegar. So it is going to still be a savory dish. This is 1 teaspoon of salt. It's still going to be a savory dish, but there's a lot of sweetness, natural sweetness in onions. So that's going to come out, and as I said, this is just fantastic with a roast or turkey or anything like that, a roasted chicken, whatever you want to serve it with. It's just a really nice option. And I have one in the oven if you want to follow me, and you can see what it looks like. It's still got about 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes on it, but you can see it is starting to puff up. So we browned the onions, which I'll show you in just a sec, because we're going to do that. Then it gets puff pastry, or you can do pie crust if you prefer pie crust, either way. And it's basically, if you're going to do this with apples or pears, it's pretty much the same thing, except you're not putting in the vinegar and the salt. It's just the sugar and butter, and then you put your apples or pears or fresh peaches or whatever you have. And it's just really outstanding. It's great for dessert. You could have it for breakfast or brunch with the apples, or you could do the onions for breakfast or brunch too. So I'm just going to stir this a little bit. We're going to let it caramelize just a little. I want the butter all melted before I put my onions in. And so this Emile Henry products are made with a burgundy clay. So as you can see, I have it right on the stove. This is a gas stove. obviously. You can use it right on a coil electric stove. It will not work on induction. It will not work on a glass top because it doesn't have complete flat surface. But it's great if you have gas or the coil electric stove. So all of their products, all of their flame products, so their Dutch ovens, the tagines, this guy, the Tarte Tatin set, can go right on the stovetop, so you can brown stuff in it, and then it can go into the oven if you want to. It's beautiful. Most of the colors we carry are, well, I shouldn't say most of the colors we carry. We carry 2 of their colors for the most part. We have a red and we have the charcoal. We can possibly order other colors if you prefer them, but these are the ones that we usually have in stock. And they're just fantastic, and they look great on the table. The pizza stones are number one. You get a nice crispy crust, and you can also serve your pizza right on the pizza stone, so it's really cool. So because this is an upside down tart, the side that you put down is the side you're going to see when you invert it. And I did the other one a little bit differently, but this one I'm going to do just as whole halves, if you will. And I'm just going to arrange these in my pan. And you can put these the other side up if you want. You can really do it however you want it to look. And I could probably have used another couple of onions. These were a little small. The recipe says, I think it says 2 to 3 large red onions, and if you're cutting them in wedges, that would fill this up. If I had cut these in wedges, it would fill it up, but I want it a little bit taller at the moment. And you can hear that sizzling, and it's starting to brown in there, so I'm turning the temperature way, way down on this, and it is starting to burn a little bit. So I'm just going to, this stove, like our oven, tends to be a little high. This is not how you're supposed to use gloves or mitts, by the way. You're supposed to actually put them on your hands. There we go. So, and that's on low. I'm going to turn the fan on just for a second. Sorry about the noise. Just to get that steam out of the way. So meanwhile, while that is cooking, oh, and I need to add my balsamic. So I've got 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. And this is our really nice aged balsamic from Modena, Italy. And this we sell in these refillable bottles. There's the label. We sell this in these refillable bottles. And it's really good stuff. It's really thick and syrupy. All right, so we're just going to let that just make sure it's getting all over the bottom there. We're just going to give that another couple of minutes. And the other one's about ready to come out, so that'll be fun. So this is store-bought puff pastry. It works perfectly well. You can make your own puff pastry or rough puff pastry. You can make a pie crust. You can buy store-bought pie crust. Either way, whatever you like to use is just fine. So we've got a pretty big area we want to cover, and that's not big enough. So we're going to roll this out just a little bit. Oops. And just so that it's big enough to cover. And that's looking pretty good there. There's my timer. I'm going to give that just a couple more minutes, but meanwhile, I'm going to pull this other guy out. And you will see, ooh, it is a thing of beauty. So it's nice and brown. My puff pastry puffed up beautifully. And I'm going to let this cool just for like 2 minutes. I don't want to let it cool too much or it'll stick to the dish. If you have to let it, if you do it early, just to get it done, and you have to let it cool for too long, you can always put it on the stove top for a minute or so or less on a low heat just to kind of soften up the caramel before you flip it. So all is not lost if you have to let it cool, but you do want to warm it up. So this is going to go right on top here, and I'm just going to fold in the corners. If you have pie crust and you have it perfectly round, that is good too. And this is going to go into a 425 oven for 25 minutes about. So that goes in there. We close it up and we set a timer, which I suppose I should just because you know how I am. Okay, so that's going. So here comes the tricky part. Because I have my Emile reset, I feel very confident in this. I'm going to put my handy dandy plate there, and I'll come over here. Wish me luck, everybody. Boom. Oh my goodness, look at that. A couple of them stuck, but we will take care of that. It's going to go right there. That's going to go in there. Oh my gosh, I wish you guys could smell this. It's so intoxicating. Just beautiful. Now, the recipe doesn't call for this, but what I'm going to do is I have some goat cheese. So I'm going to sprinkle a little goat cheese on this before we serve it. Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. You don't need to overdo it, but it'll just help with the sweetness. The goat cheese helps to bring out the savory of the onions. And then we have a little bit of fresh thyme. So we'll sprinkle a little bit of that on there. So in about 25-30 minutes, you have a beautiful side dish. Or if you're vegetarian, you can have this just as your dinner. It is really wonderful. It's got a nice crisp outside. You do want to serve it hot to your guests or to yourself. But that is it, and it smells delicious. It looks delicious. Just a really, really lovely thing to put on your table with your turkey and all of your other good stuff that you have for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. And that's all there is to it. Super easy, delicious. We're going to cut into this as soon as we're done filming. Next week, kofta from the book Jerusalem. Don't miss it. Tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday is early bird, November 5th, 6th, and 7th, 2021. So come see us for that and have a great week.